My name is John, and the story I'm about to tell you is true, so don't let anybody tell you differently. In 1804, my wife and I bought a plot of land in Adamston, Tennessee, eager to build our life there, unaware of what the years ahead would hold. At first, everything was as normal as one could expect. We farmed, raised our children, and built a modest home. But by 1817, everything changed. Something made its presence known, something none of us were prepared for. I still remember the afternoon, just before dusk, when I saw it. I was walking through one of the corn rows, surveying the crops, when I noticed something hunched down near the edge of the field. At first, I thought it might be a stray dog, but something about it felt wrong. Its black fur glistened in the fading light, and its eyes, those eyes, seemed to pierce through me with an unnatural intelligence. Startled, I raised my rifle and fired a shot, but the creature didn't yelp or cry out. It simply vanished into the corn as if it were never there. I told myself it was nothing more than a wild animal, perhaps a wolf that had wandered too far south, and I pushed the incident out of my mind. But deep down, I felt something shift in the air that day. Over the next few days, strange things began to happen. My sons reported seeing odd creatures as well. Drew, my eldest, swore he saw a bird unlike any he'd ever seen, perching on a fence post near the barn. He thought it might be a turkey, but when it took off into the air, he said it was far larger than any bird he'd ever seen. Its wingspan stretched wide, blocking out the sun for a brief moment as it soared overhead. Soon, odd noises started echoing through the house at night. At first, it was just scratching sounds, like rats scurrying in the walls. But there were no rats, no signs of anything that could explain the noises. Then came the knocking, loud, deliberate knocks that would rattle the walls late at night when the house should have been silent. Lucy tried to soothe the children, brushing it off as wind or the settling of the house, but I could see the worry in her eyes. She knew, as I did, that something unnatural had taken hold of our home. Weeks passed, and the disturbances escalated. One night, the knocking stopped, replaced by what sounded like whispering voices. At first, it was faint, barely audible, but as the nights went on, the whispers grew louder. Sometimes, I thought I could make out words, though none of them made sense. The voices sounded like a woman's, harsh and mocking. One night, while Lucy and I lay in bed, something yanked the blankets off of us with a violent force. I bolted upright, grabbing for my rifle, but there was nothing there. No intruder, no animal, just a cold chill in the air that clung to my skin. I tried to explain it away, to tell myself it was a trick of the mind. But deep down, I knew better. The children woke, crying, their own covers pulled from them as well. It was as if some invisible hand was tormenting us. It was around this time that I began experiencing strange symptoms. My tongue would swell up suddenly, making it impossible to speak or eat. These episodes would last for hours, leaving me weak and confused. Lucy begged me to seek help, but I didn't know what to say. What could I tell anyone? That some spirit had invaded our home and was tormenting us. No one would believe it. I confided in a friend of mine, James, and he agreed to stay the night at our farm, along with his wife. He was a practical man, not one for superstition. I was certain if anyone could help me make sense of what was happening, it would be James. That night, the spirit made itself known to them in no uncertain terms. As they lay in bed, the covers were ripped from them, just as they had been with us. Loud slaps echoed through the room, as if an invisible hand was striking them. James tried to remain calm, but by morning, he admitted that something beyond explanation was at work in our home. He offered no solutions, only prayers for our safety. The spirit, now identified as a malevolent presence, began to speak to us more directly. It would laugh and taunt us, calling me by name, telling me it would see me dead before long. It referred to itself as Kate, though I don't know why or how it came by that name. It seemed to take pleasure in the suffering it caused, delighting in our terror. Not all in the family were equally tormented. Oddly enough, Lucy and my youngest daughter, Betsy, were treated with some degree of kindness by the entity. Kate would sometimes speak to them in soft tones, even offering cryptic advice to Betsy about her future. It was as if the spirit held a twisted affection for them, though I could not understand its motives. As the months dragged on, Kate's assaults grew more vicious. I would be slapped, pinched, or have my hair pulled at random times. Often, I would feel an oppressive weight on my chest, as if some unseen force was trying to crush me. It felt like a battle, one I was steadily losing. By late 1820, I had grown weak and sickly. The swelling of my tongue worsened, and I began to feel as though I was suffocating, even when I could breathe. My body grew frail, and my mind clouded with confusion. No doctor could offer a cure. No prayer seemed strong enough to drive the spirit away. One night, after a particularly brutal attack, I found a strange vial of liquid next to my bed. I sensed that Kate was offering me a way out to end the torment and spare my family, and in a moment of weakness, I tasted a drop of it, and I felt an immediate burning sensation in my throat. I recoiled, horrified, but before I could act, I collapsed into unconsciousness. I woke the next day, barely able to move. Lucy and the children were frantic. The vial was still there, sitting innocently on the table, as if it had always been part of our household. In a moment of panic, Lucy poured a bit of the liquid onto a spoon and gave it to the cat. Within moments, the poor creature convulsed and died. As my strength faded, I felt Kate's presence hovering over me, waiting for the inevitable. I could hear her laughing in the shadows, whispering that my time was up. I wanted to fight, but my body was betraying me. I could barely lift my head, let alone ward off a force I could neither see nor touch. I could only hope and pray that Kate would live up to her part and spare my family. On December 20th, 1820, I breathed my last breath. My family held a small funeral, but even in death, I was not free from Kate's torment. At my burial, witnesses reported hearing a voice singing loudly, a mocking song that echoed through the trees. It was Kate, celebrating my demise. After my death, the spirit seemed to quiet down. It seemed that Kate would honor our agreement, although others claimed that it still haunted the land, though less violently. To this day, people still speak of the Bell Witch, of the strange happenings on the farm, and of the spirit that killed John Bell. I leave behind no answers, only my story of a man who was once a farmer, who sacrificed everything for his family. And though I am gone, I can only hope that Kate will never return to claim another soul.